Alrighty folks, today we're going to be dismounting the tires that I street raced on this entire summer. And that's what this video is going to be about. What tires should you run on your car if you're going to be street racing on the street? Okay, street racing on the street, not at the track, at the street. And what I have here is a 2001 Mustang GT, cams, 373 gears, stick shift. It's pretty hard to get traction on the street with these cars. And if you know anything about any sort of racing, it's that you don't mix drag radials with a stick shift car. But people like me do it because we don't want to run full-on slicks, and it definitely works. So let me get these wheels dismounted. It's actually kind of crazy I'm making this video. It's about 30 degrees outside right now. I live here in Milwaukee and the winters can be pretty harsh. But I told myself, nobody is gonna make this video. Nobody is gonna tell you to run the street tire that I have right now. And it's street legal. Everyone is so quick to recommend the more trashier ones. The Nitto NT555R2s, the Toyo R888Rs, the Mickey Thompson ET Street SS's. The Street SS's are pretty good, but they're really freaking heavy. That's gonna affect your acceleration. And sure, you have other tires like Michelin Pilot Sport 4s and all kinds of different street tires. But you want to get a drag radial if you're really serious about launching it on a straight line, on the street. I've never met anyone that ran Nittos actually be satisfied with their results. I had the Nitto N555R2s on this car in the past. They were really greasy. I don't recommend them. I'm only pushing about 300 horsepower to the wheels, but I blew the tires off every time. From a dig racing perspective, they suck. Even being in second gear, I could be at like 3,000 RPM, just punch the gas, go up to 4.5, and then the tires will lose traction. Now, when I say lose traction, I don't mean spinning out of control or anything like that. I always went straight. I don't know if it's just the way that I built the suspension in this car, but I go straight with every single tire that I've ever had. But with these new tires I've been street racing on, no issues at all. I'll actually dead hook on the street. Now, some may say you'll get a lot of success with the R888Rs by Toyo. The issue is those are not drag radials. They're more of a road race tire. You might get good traction on them if you're doing roll racing, but you have to think about the car you have. People will be like, yeah, many owners of Lamborghinis and Porsches run those tires, so they must be good. Well, you need to understand something, and I'm gonna make this clear.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble, and I don't want to be in big trouble.
I think it's funny that a lot of folks will get rid of the weight in the rear when they should be doing it in the front. It's like, what? Especially if you're drag racing, I get it, make the car lighter, but you have to compensate for that. Now, if you're running a straight up street tire, by that I mean an all season or a summer tire or whatever the like, you're not gonna get any traction at all. Don't believe that you're gonna actually be able to launch the car. If you slip the clutch, maybe. But dude, get yourself a real ass tire. Don't run shit tires if you're serious about this. Like, I don't go out street racing at 4 in the morning every single day or anything like that. This is my daily driver. I like to launch the crap out of it. Really, I do. And I haven't had any issues with the tires I'm running right now. And I'm really confident to say that even with the stick shift car, these are miracles. Now, sure, with these tires, yeah, you still do spin. It's a stick shift car. You're still gonna spin. But it's much better than what it was in the past. And I find that these tires only spin if you rev them up really high, get them super hot, or by just hitting the tires extremely hard, like straight up dumping the clutch. But you can still dump you can still dump the clutch and get good results. Wow, enough talk. Let's get the show started. I'm actually going to be using the socket my buddy old pal Gavin Fletcher gave me. So thank you for this socket. It's really not necessary, but the cool thing about this is it will not scratch my rim. Because I've used impact sockets that will put a little gouge in my wheel and boom, paint is gone. Like literally a paint chip. With this, it won't happen. Let's see. Gotta break it in. Gotta break it in. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Mickey Thompson ET Street R. Let's take a closer look. These tires have about 1,000 hard street miles on them. And look, they still look pretty mint. Now, you're gonna see that these have little marks. Now, these are probably like 7 months old. They're pretty fresh from Mickey Thompson themselves. And they have a good amount of tread left in them compared to when I bought them. Like I said, you're gonna see these little weird marks. I think I just overheated the living hell out of the compound because I never did any smoky burnouts or anything like that, but I always did back-to-back launches, like many. So that's probably the reason behind that. Whenever I did do a burnout, it was just very subtle. All I did was just spin the tires for like 2 or 3 seconds. That's it. I never smoked them really hard. So that's probably why they still look pretty good. But yeah, this is the tire you want, man. Now, this isn't on a 15-inch wheel or anything. This is actually on a 17-inch rim. The same way that my stock ones are. These are just... Okay, so these are 17 by 9s. The factory ones are 17 by 8s, I believe. And I had pretty good results using just this tire size. This is a 26.4-inch tire, I believe. And as you can tell, the sidewall is not even too big. Like, guys, you need some pretty good sidewall if you're really serious about this. And it's ironic that I'm saying that because I have a 40 sidewall, but the car still hooks fine. Like, it does so good, man. The old size I had and the Nittos was the same thing. They were trash. They were terrible. Now, 275. You don't need anything crazier than that unless you're making like 800 horsepower and you're street racing it. It just doesn't make any sense. Even then, you don't need that crazy of a wide tire. This is perfectly fine. If you're going anything above that, I think you're just going for looks at that point. There's many things that you guys need to understand. You can drive these in the rain just fine. You can drive them fine. You still have grooves in them. Now, sure, if you're dumb as hell and you're going to be driving 80 miles an hour on the freeway while it's drizzling out, that's on you. But I have half a brain, and I'm not even that smart. I have half a brain to drive these in the rain, and I've had no issues whatsoever. I haven't had any punctures at all, so that's a relief. And these are actually really soft. They're being a radial, they're still a bit firm, but they're very soft. Now, as you can tell, these balanced out just fine. They balanced out just fine. I know people that run other drag radials and they'll have like Mickey Thompson ET Street SS's and they'll have like 100 freaking weights. No issues with these. They are a little shaky on the freeway, but that is to be expected when you have such a raw feel to the road. On the street, they feel okay. On certain roads, they're gonna feel a little bumpy, but like I said, you're getting a very raw feel. This is the real deal, and it's a nice little trade-off in my opinion. Now, I keep these at about 25 and a half psi cold, or maybe 26, so that when I'm driving down the road, they'll be 26 and a half or 27, something like that. And I feel that's the best psi for these to hook. Anything below 25 psi, just doesn't work at all, for my setup at least. I'll never understand why people convince you to try and run these at 20 psi or even lower. It's still a drag radial. It just doesn't make sense for being on the street, because most of these guys, they're not even racing on the street, they're racing at the track. It's totally different world. Now you're probably wondering why I'm taking those drag radials off. Well, let me show you. I had went and gotten some snow tires because I daily this car and I don't want to get stuck in the snow. Look at that tread, baby. Ooh. These are Blizzak. Can you even see that? These are Blizzak WS90s. These are like the best snow tire out there. But you guys don't care about that. You guys care about the performance. Give me 1 minute here. Me personally, I always like to get these lug nuts hand tight before I actually tighten them with the gun. So I do a crisscross tighten sequence, and then I pretty much give them like a final rundown. I've never used a torque wrench on any wheels I've ever tightened. I went over 100 miles an hour many times, and I trust myself. I know what I'm doing. It's not that hard, guys. If you know what you're doing, then you're fine. Done. Okay, so judging by looking at the condition of both tires, I would say they look pretty good, man. I probably have another 1.5 years left on these if I drive on them as hard as I did this entire year. I started driving these when it was like 30 degrees out in April or something like that. And they hook pretty good even when it's cold as hell out. Others on the internet will say something different. You shouldn't drive on these under 45-degree conditions. They won't hook at all. To me, they honestly hooked really good. Like better in 30 and 40 degree weather than they did when it was maybe like 80 or 90. It's kind of weird how that works. Look at this, man. Look at the tread. 1,000, if not more, very hard street miles. Like, dude, this looks like almost the same compared to when I bought them brand new. It's crazy. They are expensive though. These are maybe like $330, $340 each tire, and I bought them from Jegs. The thing with Jegs is if you spend $500, you get $50 off. So instead of spending like maybe almost $700, I spent $630 on these tires after taxes and everything. So it's not a bad deal. If you want good price tires, get them from Jegs. Now I don't know exactly what you're supposed to clean tires up with, so I have a little bit of water. Okay, that's not doing much, if anything at all. Let's try just a tad of Simple Green. Oh no, the chemical. It's okay, it's Simple Green. It's not too crazy. I'm gonna wipe it off anyways. And like I said, yes, you can drive these tires in the rain. If it's pouring out super hard and you're going 30 miles an hour on the street, you're gonna feel some fishtailing if you give it enough gas. Or just getting out of a stoplight or at a stop, you're gonna feel the car lose a little traction and it might feel a little wonky in the rear. It might dance a bit, but just be safe about how you drive. Don't mash the gas pedal. Take it easy and you should be fine. If you're going on the freeway while it's raining, hey, that's on you. Now, if the roads are wet, you could drive this in the rain. But if it's like raining outside, I wouldn't drive them on the freeway, period. On the street, it's okay. On the freeway, please don't kill yourself. These are pretty good for what you pay. They're on the lighter side of things. They're on the grippy side of things as well. and they last much more longer than people on the internet will tell you. They do work on stick shift cars. If you have an automatic, I feel like you can get away with pretty much any drag radio out there. As soon as I got this tire, I stopped losing races. Whether you're doing roll racing or drag racing on the street, this is a good tire for you. I've never really needed to do a burnout with these in order for them to hook. They always hook pretty good, but obviously if I spin them too hard or if I just straight up overheat them altogether, it's going to be hard to get good results. I've had that happen to me and it's such a weird feeling. And like I said earlier in the video, yes, you can dump the clutch violently and still grip with these. Now, I try a little bit to slip the clutch very, very quickly, because when you just straight up dump it, it doesn't really work well unless you do a quick burnout. It doesn't have to be a smoky one. Just get the tires a little heated up. That's it. It'll work. You can launch it 4 grand RPMs with the car like this. You'll be fine. But you have to play around with your car. Because I'm in like a bunch of Mustang Facebook groups. Everyone was like, no, you don't need a drag radio. Just get Michelin Pilot Sport 4s. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, I drive my car hard. You don't. That's the difference. Yeah, you'll never really understand what grip is unless you've ran a slick before or you ran a tire like this. It's pretty crazy. I can be at like 5,000 RPMs in this car. On a roll race, hit the gas, it's going to grab just fine. It's not going to spin at all. And, okay, growing up, playing the video games, it's cool to spin your car. Like, you drive a Turbo Civic in Gran Turismo or Forza, and you're spinning all the way through 4th gear. That's kind of cool. In real life, it gets tiring. It's cool for a little while, but you get tired of spinning all the time. I realized how you guys couldn't see me for like the past freaking 5 minutes. Oh my goodness. So just by looking at these tires, it seems like my differential is going out. I'm sure it's the clutch packs because it's the original diff. And the reason I say that is because this side is more burnt out than the other by very slightly. Now I'm going to leave a link to a website in the description or in the comments. This website, it's gonna give you the specs of every major tire out there, whether it be a drag radio, summer tire, winter tire, or whatever they're like. I don't think there's any slicks on there for obvious reasons, but on this website, it'll tell you what height these tires will be when they're mounted on and what's the weight going to be of each tire alone. I really love this website. It's so beneficial. And I'm also going to leave another link to another website that I'm going to show here on screen. Let's say you have a 28-inch tire and you have 373 gears. Well, obviously, when you mount those tires onto your car, your gearing ratio is going to go down. So instead of a 373, it might be like a 344 or 350. I don't know what the math is on that, but I'll put it here on the screen. Very nice website. Those 2 sites should help you out on choosing what you want. And just keep in mind, the lighter tires that you have in the rear, the better it is going to be for acceleration and your gearing for the most part. So don't go out getting the heaviest tire or the biggest tire because they're going to affect you in much more ways than you would probably ever think they would. The Nittos were one of the most lightest tires that I've seen on there when it comes to drag radios, but they were also less girthier. Because, for example, on this tire size, a 26-inch tire, 275/40 on the 17-inch rim. With the Mickey Thompson, it's 26.4 inches in height. With the Nittos, it was 25.7. So just think about that. You're giving up some meat for some weight. Okay, so for those of you strictly running street tires, this is the website for you. So it's called TireWheelGuide.com. It's going to take you to this weird screen, but you're going to click up here to where it says Compare Tires. Boom. Here's where it gets pretty interesting. Let's compare the General G-Max RS tires. These are low budget, but they perform very well. Side by side with the Michelin Pilot Sport 84s. Where is it? Okay. Now let's see which is the winner. Let's compare the specs. Okay. Overall 84 compared to 88. All right. How about dry traction? 92 versus 93. All right. How about wet? 87 versus 90. That's not bad comparing these side by side, and the fact that these general G Maxes are about $100 less than the Pilot Sport 4s. Keep in mind, Michelin does a very good job at marketing these tires on the fastest cars out there. Just because you're paying more doesn't actually mean you're getting a better product. No hate. I'm just making this very clear. The specs are here. The proof is in the pudding. Do your own research. Okay. Let's see if this website is actually telling the truth. Let's compare some really crappy street tires that I used to have. They're called the Fusion Ultra High Performance Sport All Seasons. Okay, with the Goodyear Eagle Exhilarates. These are the tires that I have on my Mustang right now for the fronts. I used to daily them in the rear too, but I ended up getting a set of drag radials. Anyways, boom, Fusion on the left, Eagle on the right. 29% overall versus 77. That sounds about right. Dry traction for the Fusions is terrible, and so is wet traction. I remember driving these on the snow at one point. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Versus the Goodyears. The Goodyears just dominated. They dominate these tires in every level. Like, seriously. And speaking from first-hand experience, I remember when I first got these Goodyears mounted on my car, it was raining really hard out. So I kind of gave it a little bit of the beans because I couldn't do that with the Fusions. And I was really shocked as to how the tires didn't spin at all. They just took it. There's definitely a lot of information on this website. So use this to your advantage. Nobody is really going to tell you what tire you should run. If you talk to salesmen, they're just going to try and sell you tires. So find out the truth for yourself. There's plenty of options to look at here. Not every tire in the world's here, but a good amount of them are. But hey, man, I'm going to get going. I got to clean these tires up, put them inside, and maybe wrap them up or something, because I want to make sure they're going to have a home to sleep in. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry if it was a little long, but somebody had to make this video possible. And here I am, giving you some knowledge and information. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to watch the other videos on the channel just so you can see how these tires perform, along with the niddles as well. And I'm out. But yeah, man, if you're going to be running drag radials, keep that shit on the street. Don't take it to the track. If you take it to the track, ooh, goodbye to your axles, your gears, your transmission, your drivetrain. There's a reason why you see many racers running full slicks or bias ply tires. Have a good night.